How's going guys, welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Moka, Mizore and Shion. Part 1. Huge shout out to RagnellAlondite for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Naruto Uzumaki yawned as he stepped out of the small hut that he made for himself. It had been a few months since the war ended and spring was just about to begin. The allied shinobi forces had returned to their homes, having been victorious over Madara and Obito Uchiha, though at a cost. Many lives had been lost, and Naruto had to once again make a sacrifice for the greater good. Now instead of kurama the Kyuubi no Kitsune sealed inside of him, he now had silent and deadly Jubi sitting in his gut. They had managed to seal away Madara Uchiha and killed Obito, but the Jubi had still ran rampant, even with the help of the revived Hokages. In the end Naruto and B had released their demons and let them be absorbed by the Jubi, giving it a level of sentience that it had failed to possess before, but as it was disoriented Naruto had his father Minato Namikaze seal the new Jubi inside of him, protecting the world again. Naruto had been offered great rewards for heroism, but in the end this new beast was far too dangerous for him to be around anyone. Its power was far greater than anything that he had ever possessed, and while he was learning to harness its powers slowly, along with the new gifts that had come along with it, he still felt as if he was far too dangerous to be around anyone. The only people that came to visit this hidden shack in the woods of Hai no Kuni were Tsunade when she could escape the paperwork, Kakashi, Sakura, Hinata and to his surprise Sasuke. At the moment Naruto was taking after his father and working on becoming a Fuinjutsu master, hoping to find a way to seal the Jubi forever once he passed away. As he sat in spring sunshine he began working on a new seal that would transfer the yaki that he emitted somewhere else and hopefully make him less dangerous to be around and stop scaring off all of the animals. Okay, this should do it. Naruto muttered to himself as he made the last brush stroke now to test it. Standing up he lifted the black shirt that covered the mesh one he wore underneath it, placing the new seal over the seal of the Jubi. Focusing his chakra he activated the seal and felt the yaki leaving his surrounding area. Excellent. He cheered, but his joy was short-lived as he suddenly felt a tug at the seal, and then it became a pull, and finally he was surrounded in a flash of light and found himself standing in an alley somewhere he didn't recognize. Well shit. Naruto cursed as he looked around. What the hell went wrong? You tried to send my yaki away and instead got pulled along with it. Jubi replied calmly, having a faint accent that Naruto could not place for the life of him. And you know this how? Naruto asked with a scowl as he entered the mindscape. Simple. I am the Jubi recreated. I was inside the Rakuto Sennin for Kami's sake. I've forgotten more about Fuinjutsu than your pathetic species has learned since the idiot with purple eyes died. Jubi snarked off. Oh shut it you demented freak. Naruto sighed. Oh I am a demon with the power to alter the very landscape, not a demented freak. Jubi shouted in outrage. Yeah, heard it all before. Naruto sighed. Shaking his head at the eventual headache that he felt forming, he decided to start exploring in hopes that he could identify his surroundings. Then Mikagami frowned as he realized that his plan had backfired. Sukune Ono had managed to get into another school, and the problem with the various monsters at Yakai Academy was starting to escalate, especially the anti-schoolers. He had a problem and he needed to find a way to fix it fast before all the hard work that he and the other Dark Lords put into this school was wasted. Frowning as he paced he sensed a presence entering the human world, one that had so much yaki that he could feel it through the barrier. "Bus driver-san," he said as the mysterious driver appeared. "Yes, headmaster?" he asked. "I want you to go and pick up our strange new arrival." Mikagami stated, "I believe that this young person could be just the answer I'm looking for." Haha. Fine by me. The bus driver chuckled as he walked off. Naruto was shocked by how huge the city was. Every single place he looked was swarming with people dressed in such unusual clothes, with loud noises pervading the air, and in all honesty, he couldn't believe that this many people could live like this in such a confined area. Not even one of the villages he had been to were this overpopulated. The closest he had seen were festivals, and even then there weren't this many people. Where the hell am I? Naruto muttered as he leapt down from the roof he was on and into an alley before walking through the crowds, trying to pick up any information that he could. As he walked people started to avoid him for some reason, and a visible area of space started to appear around him as he walked, showing how potent his yaki was. "You stand out quite a bit," a voice said from the road. Turning, Naruto saw a large vehicle that he had been observing driving around on the paved streets, this one larger than the others, in both length and height. "And who are you?" Naruto asked with a frown. "You're right," he replied, "you've been invited to attend a very special school for people like you." "People like me, huh?" Naruto asked with a smirk, "and who said I was interested?" "No one did. It's an offer only." Why don't you come meet the headmaster and see if you like it, if you don't, then we can see about getting you home. Bus drive smirked. Naruto frowned at this before deciding that he didn't really have anything to lose. Walking towards the open doors, he soon found himself taking a seat in the first row on the side with the door. The bus driver soon drove off, and Naruto stared out the window, calmly watching the scenery pass, before he decided to ask the bus driver some questions. Is all of the world like this? Naruto asked. Most of it. Humans have expanded so much that there are barely any places that they haven't destroyed. Bus driver replied. Geez. Naruto sighed, not many forested areas left. There are some, and lots of them are protected so they won't go away, but the great wilderness has disappeared and been replaced by the urban jungle. Bus drive chuckled. Naruto simply shook his head at this before noting that they were entering a tunnel. As they did, he could feel the dimensional shift, and when they exited they were in a gloomy area with dead trees everywhere and in the distance a building that Naruto could only assume was his destination. That's the school? Naruto asked. That it is. Yokai Academy. Naruto only snorted at the name as the bus came to a stop and he calmly stepped off. Well, thanks for the ride. Naruto stated. Not a problem. Enjoy your stay. Bus driver grinned as he closed the door and started driving away. Shrugging, Naruto began walking down the road and towards the building when he suddenly heard a girl shouting, "Look out." Turning, Naruto saw a pink-haired girl wearing a green blazer buttoned over a white dress shirt with a plaid short skirt and some sort of choker on her neck, riding a bicycle towards him, clearly having lost control. Naruto reacted quickly, turning to avoid the runaway bike and grabbed the back of the girl's neck, pulling her from the bike as it crashed into one of the dead trees. "Oh, I'm so sorry." She apologized. "I'm anemic, you see, and I got very dizzy." "It's alright." Naruto smiled as he walked over and picked up her bike. As he lifted it onto his shoulder, the chain snapped across the side of his neck, letting a small trickle of blood flow out. The girl's eye dilated as the smell of blood reached her. "Oh, you're bleeding," she said as she went over to him, running a finger through the blood and then putting it into her mouth and moaned at the taste. Naruto blinked in puzzlement before she moved in closer, almost as if to kiss him. Blinking, Naruto was about to say something when instead she went for his neck, taking a bite and started drinking his blood. "What the?" he mentally shouted. I think you just found yourself a vampire, Naruto." Jubi stated, "Not a bad looking one either." "Oh, I'm sorry, your blood just smelled so good and when I took that taste, I just couldn't help myself." She smiled. "You see, I'm a vampire and we do need blood to survive. I hope you don't hate vampires." Naruto blinked again before deciding to go with honesty. "No, I don't hate vampires. In fact, you're the first one that I've ever met." "Oh, that's great. I'm Moka Akashiya." Moka smiled. "Naruto Uzumaki. The pleasure's all mine." Naruto replied as they started walking. "So are you a student at Yokai Academy too?" Moka asked. "I guess. I'm a late arrival so I have to go see the headmaster first and set things up." Naruto replied. "Oh, well, that explains the clothes." Moka replied as she took in his all-black wardrobe. "You really look quite mysterious like that." "Thanks." Naruto nodded as they stopped just outside the school. "Well, here's your bike back. I'm going to go find the headmaster." "It's been a pleasure, Moka-chan, maybe we'll be in the same class together." "That'd be great." Moka smiled as Naruto walked into the school, noting the various stares he was getting, mostly from the girls as he walked by. It took some time, but he did finally manage to find his way to the headmaster's office and was led inside to see the mysterious founder of the academy. "So you're the one who wanted me here?" Naruto stated calmly as he looked at the man dressed in white. "I am. And you are not the average monster," he noted. "That's because I'm human," Naruto replied. "Oh really? You give off quite the amount of yaki then. Where are you from?" "Hanahagakure no Sato in Hai no Kuni," Naruto replied. "The elemental nations. It has been some time since we had travelers from that dimension." Mikagami nodded as he thought, "Then the yaki coming from you is likely that of a demon sealed inside of you. Which one would it be, the Ichibi, perhaps the Sanbi, or maybe the Kyubi?" "Jubi." Naruto sighed. "There has been some changes in the elemental nations." "I see. If the Jubi has been sealed then you are in a very interesting position. How is it that you wound up here?" "The seal gone bad. I've been leaking so much yaki that it started affecting my surroundings to a degree. So I attempted to make a seal that would divert the worst of it to a different place and in the end I got dragged along with it, or so the Jubi says." Naruto explained. "Any ideas on how to get me back?" "I might be able to manage something. Travel through dimensions is doable, as you should know by the existence of this school. However, it is not something one undertakes lightly. I will make you a deal, young man. If you stay and enroll here for 3 years, by the time you are done I will have found a way for you to return to your home dimension and establish a means of travel between the two if you so wish," Mikagami offered. What are the rest of the conditions? Naruto asked. It's simple really. All I'd like you to do is to help keep the peace here and deal with any problems that arise that prove to be a threat to the entire school. Otherwise just act like a normal student here. So you want an undercover operative? Naruto stated. In a sense. Fine, but I have some conditions. Oh? First, I want ramen for lunch every day and make sure that it is at least 10 bowls. Very well. The headmaster nodded. Second, I will not wear those colors for the uniform. Let me change up the color scheme on them. Fine, I will inform the staff that you are an exception to this rule. Lastly, I will need a room to myself, I like my privacy, and I will be working more on my Fuinjutsu training. Naruto stated. Agreed then. I will have your requests taken care of by the end of the school day, your homeroom teacher will have the key to your dorm. Now here is your class list. Mikagami replied as he handed him a sheet of paper with his classes on them, enjoy the school life. Yeah. Naruto nodded as he turned and walked out, deciding to enjoy his first day in his current attire before donning the new one tomorrow. Moka was sitting in her homeroom class, which was about the history of monster-human relations and how to blend in with them. As the teacher Ms. Neckerman finished roll call there was a knock on the door. Oh, come in. She smiled as the door opened and a blonde with whisker marks dressed in black walked in. Hi, sorry I'm late. I just finished registering with the headmaster. He smiled I didn't have time to get my uniform together. Alright dear, I'll let it slide this one time. Now please introduce yourself to the class. Neckerman smiled. Hi, I'm Naruto Uzumaki. He nodded to the class as he saw that Moka was in the class. Walking down the row of desks he took a seat next to Moka who smiled at her friend having arrived in time. Now then. The point of this class is to learn about the relations between yokai and humans and how to best blend in with them. Neckerman explained. Wouldn't it be better to just eat all the men and have our way with the women, screw hiding. A guy sitting 2 seats in front of Naruto stated, earning several glares from the women, but some approved mutterings from some of the other guys. Naruto simply frowned at the guy and resisted the urge to send a kunai through his skull. Now that is a quick way to get us all found out and hunted to extinction. Neckerman chided as she continued the class. Once it was all finished and they were dismissed they all proceeded to head for their next classes. So what do you have next Naruto-kun? Moka asked as she looked at his class list. Let's see. I've got chemistry next, that should be fun. Then math, then gym. After that is lunch break, then my last 2 classes are English then cooking. Naruto read off what about you? I have gym next, then math, then English. Lunch break then chemistry and then cooking. Moka read off. So we have every other class together. Naruto noted with a grin well we better get going. I'll see you in math Moka-chan. Naruto smiled as he walked off, trying to find the classroom. The rest of the day went by quietly for Naruto who enjoyed the mass amounts of ramen that he had gotten for lunch and shocked Moka with how much and how quickly he ate them. That is incredible. Moka exclaimed after having sucked some more of his blood I have never seen anyone eat that much so quickly. It's a gift. Naruto chuckled as he finished his milk. The two soon went off to the last few classes and after classes were done proceeded to wander around the campus, exploring the entire area. As they walked they got stopped by the guy who had spoken up about eating humans in their history class. Hey there Moka, I'm Saizo Kamiya. Why don't you ditch this blonde loser and come be with a real monster? He grinned as he leaned in close to her. No thank you Saizo-san. I'd rather stay with my friend. Moka stated as she tried to walk away, but Saizo lifted his arm up to block her. I don't think so. That wasn't an offer, you are going to be my woman. Saizo grinned. Before he could do anything else there was a sickening crunch as Naruto had closed a distance between them in a flash, grabbed the offending student's arm and broke the elbow joint so that his arm was bent backwards. Ah! He screamed as Naruto just stared at him. The lady said no. Naruto replied coldly, now get lost before I decide to do that to both arms. You'll pay for that. He cursed as he ran off. Moka only blinked at Naruto for the action he took but decided that he had done it to protect her and she could let it slide. Sorry about that. Naruto smiled I really don't like bullies. It's okay. Moka smiled as they continued walking. After a while Moka went off to her dorm to get some rest while Naruto went and found Neckerman and got his dorm room key and walked straight there, finding the room was a decent size with a twin-size bed, a table, and a TV that he had no idea how to use. There was a fully stocked kitchenette in a corner of the room and a closet filled with his uniforms. Instead of the green color he had black with orange ties. This will do. Naruto nodded as he went over his school supplies that were on the desk next to the bed. The next day went similar to how the first one went, except Saizo was constantly glaring at the blonde. It was after classes when Naruto went off into the woods that Saizo approached him with a sinister grin. You're dead you little shit. He growled. Doubt it. Naruto replied calmly as he looked at Saizo, "You've been giving me the death glare all day, I just decided to give you a chance to take your revenge." "Oh, I will." Saizo chuckled as he started to transform. He grew in size, now standing closer to 9 feet tall. His shirt and blazer were shredded as his arms grew in length, and his upper body grew far more muscled, with spikes coming out of his collarbone in a few spots. "So what in the 9 hells are you?" Naruto asked, beeping his head to one side, "Because you are one ugly son of a bis." "Damn you." Saizo roared as he swung a fist at Naruto, who dodged it with ease. "I mean, you fell out of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down." Naruto continued, dodging another swing of Saizo's arm and then climbed back up to do it again. "Just die." Saizo screamed as he smashed the ground where the blonde had been standing. "No can do, ugly," Naruto replied. While Naruto tormented Saizo, Moka was looking for her friend, having noticed that he left their cooking class right away. After asking around a bit, she found that he had gone into the woods and she made her way in, finding the blonde dodging the large monster's attacks with ease. "Naruto-kun," Moka shouted, shocking both of them. Naruto, who turned to look, finally was smacked by a backhanded blow from Saizo, skidding to a stop by Moka. "Ouch." Naruto grunted, "That hurt, you bastard." "Are you okay?" Moka asked as Naruto shakily stood up, accidentally grabbing the Rosario as he did and pulling it off. Looking in his hand as he felt something gripped in it and then felt the sudden burst of Yaki. Turning, he saw that Moka was transforming, her normally pink hair turning a silver color and her green eyes turning blood red. So you removed the Rosario?" Moka stated, looking at Naruto before looking at Saizo. "Well, big guy, I thought you said yesterday you wanted to make me your woman." Saizo at this point lost it and tried to crush Moka, who simply slipped under the arm and kicked the monster with such force to the jaw that he lifted off the ground and collapsed unconscious. "Know your place?" she sniffed as she looked at the blonde. "So this is new," Naruto stated as he ran an eye over her. "So you're Naruto?" Moka noted as she walked around him. "You give off plenty of Yaki, that's for certain." "Thanks," Naruto replied. "Same could be said for you. But I'm a vampire. We are the cream of the crop, the best of the best. You, on the other hand, are a mystery." Moka noted, "One that I am going to look forward to solving at a later date." "So noted," Naruto replied. "Here." Moka took the Rosario back and nodded to the blonde. "Next time, try not to get so distracted." Before Naruto could reply, she reattached the Rosario and returned back to her usual form. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked as he caught her before she fell. Moka didn't reply and simply took a bite into his neck and started drinking his blood. Sighing, the blonde let her drink her fill before they stood up and made their way back to the school building. Naruto groaned as he got out of bed. It was 6 a.m. and he was getting up to do some more training before his first class of the day. He had been working on most of his shinobi skills, trying to make sure that everything stayed sharp for when he did manage to finally get back to his own dimension. As he went through his practice kata, he heard a faint sound coming from the woods a little further away. Pausing, he turned and looked towards the area where the sound came from and slowly walked over. After taking a dozen steps, he was able to see a girl with blue hair and a light yellow sweater vest laying on the ground. "You okay?" Naruto asked as he walked over to her. "I'm alright," she moaned. "It's just that my back really started to hurt because of these." The girl then sat up enough to reveal her rather large bust, gently squeezing them. "They do weigh quite a bit, even if they are really soft." Naruto simply blinked at this statement, his mind not sure as of yet how to process it. In the end, his good nature decided to take first crack. "Well, let me help you to the infirmary." Naruto smiled as he walked over and picked her up, carrying her bridal style as he walked towards the school. "You're so kind." She smiled as she made eye contact. "How would you like to do whatever I want?" As the words left her mouth, Naruto could feel a haze starting to fall over him and knew that she was trying to control his mind. Stopping, he frowned at her and released a concentrated burst of his chakra to stop it. "What were you trying to do?" Naruto growled as he set her down, his suspicion now taking the driver's seat. "What? How did you?" she stammered. "Who are you?" Naruto snarled, shocking the girl. "I'm Kurumu Kurono, we're in the same homeroom," Kurumu stated, still shocked that the blonde was resisting her charm. "I'll ask again, Kurumu, what were you trying to do?" Naruto stated. "I was just doing what the rest of my kind does," Kurumu replied calmly. "In order to find our destined one, we must try and seduce every man we come across." "Destined one?" Naruto asked. "Our true love. My kind only reproduce with our true love, and so in order to find him we must search for the one that has all the signs," Kurumu explained. Naruto simply shook his head and started walking off. "Fine. Just leave me out of this," he stated. "No," Kurumu snapped as she geared up her charm to full power. "I don't know how you resisted that first one, but you won't stop this one." Naruto simply smirked as he decided to test out one of his newest abilities. Opening up a hand, he created a quick gout of fire that shocked Kurumu into blinking several times and then realizing that her target was gone. Naruto was now inside the school, heading to meet up with Moka when he heard the angry scream from outside. Just pissing people off left and right, aren't you? Jubi chuckled. It's not like I do it on purpose. Naruto complained, and I do have one person that likes me. She also uses you as a free lunch. Jubi sniggered, though she is very attractive. Oh, be quiet. Naruto sighed. Naruto soon saw the familiar pink hair and soon Moka was right next to him, a smile on her face. It's good to see you, Naruto-kun. Moka smiled as they walked towards the cafeteria to get breakfast. Good morning to you too. Naruto nodded as they entered the room and went into line to get their food. Soon they were seated at a table near the back, with Naruto facing the only entrance when he saw Kurumu come storming in. She surveyed the room and saw Naruto eating with Moka and quickly stormed right over. There you are. Kurumu stated as she glared at Moka. Naruto? Moka asked, confused. Stay out of this, you blood-sucking slut. Kurumu snapped, the blonde is mine. Last I checked he wasn't. Moka snapped back. Naruto gazed back and forth between the two, trying to decide if it was a good or a bad thing that they were fighting over him. Finally he decided to intervene. Last I checked I get a say in the matter. Naruto stated, stopping their argument as they both looked at him. Now Kurumu, I was enjoying a nice quiet breakfast with my friend here. If you would like to join us then you may, otherwise please don't cause such a commotion. Kurumu blinked and again tried to use the charm on Naruto. Well, why don't you leave this girl that uses you as a free meal and come with me? Moka blinked at this and looked at Naruto, who had an amused smirk on his face. Trying that trick again? Naruto asked. If it didn't work when I wasn't expecting it, it ain't gonna work now. Kurumu was now furious. Not only was this boy immune to her powers, but he was treating her like some fool. Losing her temper, Kurumu transformed, revealing her true form as a succubus. Swinging her elongated nails at Naruto, she tried to sever his head from his shoulders. If I can't have you then no one will. She screeched as Naruto rolled back, kicking his chair into her as he did. Once he had his back to the wall, he reached into one of his pockets, taking out a smoke bomb and dropping it, creating a thick cloud of smoke that soon spread out in a massive cloud in the cafeteria. Naruto simply made his way through the crowd after grabbing Moka. Soon they were outside with the blonde smiling at her. Sorry about that. He chuckled, didn't want to leave you in there just in case she decided to get at me through you. It's okay, Naruto-kun. But why were you carrying a smoke bomb on you? Moka asked. Never know when you need to make a quick escape. Naruto chuckled as he turned and saw Kurumu flying out the doors and now circling above them, and now things are getting complicated. I get it now. Kurumu shouted. Moka has already charmed you. What? Moka shouted in confusion. So all I have to do is get rid of her and then you're all mine. Kurumu shouted as she dive-bombed the pair, who both leapt out of the way. Naruto wasn't sure what to do, but before he could react, Moka placed a rosary in his hand and then jerked her neck away, releasing her inner self. Released me against this weakling? Moka asked with a frown. I'm surprised, Naruto. Your outer self was the one that set this up, not me. Naruto replied as he saw Kurumu heading for them again, but right now you have an angry succubus heading right for you. HMPH. Simple enough. Moka sniffed as Kurumu closed in. Before Kurumu could change direction, Moka struck, unleashing a vicious roundhouse kick on the girl, sending her crashing into the side of the school. Know your place. Moka stated as she walked towards Naruto. Now how about you answer one of my questions before I decide to beat them all out of you? I might. Naruto smirked as he moved forward and clasped the rosary on her again. Next time. Inner Moka only blinked and then smirked at his reaction before the outer Moka returned. Are you alright, Naruto-kun? Moka asked, clearly concerned about her friend. Yeah, I'm fine. Naruto smiled as he walked over to make sure that Kurumu was still alive. Once he was certain that she only was dazed, he went inside and proceeded to go about the school day. The next morning, as Naruto and Moka walked towards the school building, Kurumu approached them again. Naruto, Kurumu said as she looked at her feet, looking rather embarrassed. Kurumu? Naruto nodded. I hope you learned your lesson. I did. Kurumu said, I wanted to apologize to you for what I did yesterday. You see, I remembered a story my mom told me about how Tsukubi recognized their destined one, and I came to a realization. What might that be? Naruto asked with a smile. Suddenly Kurumu hugged him, pulling him as close to her as she possibly could. But you are my destined one. She exclaimed. What? Moka exclaimed. Get off of Naruto-kun. You're just jealous that I have found my true love. Kurumu grinned. Don't I get a say in this? Naruto asked. Of course. Kurumu chuckled. You get to say yes. Naruto only sighed as he realized that things were only going to get far more complicated as the two girls fought over him. Alright you two, let's get to class. Naruto replied as he managed to get out of Kurumu's death hug, but she still clung to his arm. Alright class. Now in order to make sure that you are fully capable of blending in with humans, you will each have to go and sign up for a club activity by the end of the week. You will be staying in these clubs for the rest of your time here at Yakai Academy, so make sure to choose wisely and be sure to come stop by and look at the newspaper club that I am in charge of. Nekoman explained. Naruto was barely paying attention at this point, he already knew how to blend in with humans, and he felt that this was going to be a cut into his training time or into his time with Moka and Kurumu. So what club should we go to, Naruto-kun? Moka asked as class was dismissed and all the students started going to look at the various booths that had been set up by the second and third years. I don't know. Let's take a look around before we make up our minds. Naruto shrugged as they started looking at the various clubs. A few Moka turned down right away, like the karate club, the kendo club and the calligraphy club. Naruto rejected a few others, like the chemistry club, after they tried to get Moka to take a sleeping potion, the cosplay club, after they tried to get Moka into a very revealing outfit, and then the photography club, after they tried to get photos of up Moka's skirt. How about the cooking club? Kurumu exclaimed as she saw them leaving the rekage of the photography club. I'm not good at cooking. Moka replied, and I'm trying to find a club with Naruto that we'd both like. Sorry, Kurumu-chan. Naruto smiled. Kurumu huffed at this, but decided to keep looking for a club that she could get Naruto into with just her. As Naruto and Moka walked down the hall, they were called over to another booth by a very beautiful woman. We don't have enough guys for the swimming club, so why don't you join our club, handsome? She smiled at Naruto. Naruto took a glance over at Moka, who looked uncomfortable with the thought of this club. Sorry, but I'll have to decline. Naruto smiled as he and Moka walked off. Now Naruto was on high alert about this club and he was going to take the first chance that he could get to have a Kage bunch and keep an eye on it. Soon Naruto and Moka took a break to get something to drink, with Naruto having asked Moka to take a break from drinking his blood since he had been feeling woozy yesterday after she took a little too much, with Naruto having a soda and Moka with a tomato juice. As Naruto went to get these drinks, he sent a Kage bunshin over to keep an eye on the swimming club. The bunshin frowned as it observed that the club did have a few guys there, but there were far more women there. Shrugging, he kept observing when he saw a group of the girls overrun one of the guys and bite into him, draining him of his life force, turning him into an old man. The bunshin now knew that this was a problem and dispelled letting the original Naruto know what had happened. Naruto suddenly sat up straight and glanced towards the pool. I'll be right back, Moka-chan. Naruto said as he stood up and started moving through the crowd with skills that only a lifelong shinobi could possess. Naruto-kun. Moka shouted as the blonde disappeared from sight. Come on, Moka. Kurumu shouted as she started chasing after the blonde, the vampire right behind her. Naruto quickly arrived at the pool and saw that their few remaining boys were huddled in a corner with the girls all smirking and giggling about their situation. Oh, looks like the blonde cutie is here. The leader chuckled. So I am. What's your name? Naruto asked. You can call me Tamao. Tamao giggled. So why don't you come in for a swim? I'd rather not be devoured. Naruto smirked as he took out a kunai and spun it around a finger. Tamao and the other girls all started growling and soon transformed into their true mermaid forms, leaping out angrily. So you're going to be a tough one, aren't you? Tamao hissed. That's one way of seeing it. Naruto chuckled as he threw the kunai and watched as they all looked at it and laughed. Before they could continue, there was a detonation that caused all of the mermaids to leap away as Naruto quickly ran over to the edge of the pool where the guys were and started pulling them out. Once he pulled the last one out, Tamao grabbed his arm and threw him towards the center of the pool. Got you now. She laughed as Naruto twisted in midair and landed on top of the water, standing there with a smirk. Not quite. Naruto grinned as he flashed hand signs, but now that I'm here, let's give this a try. Raiden. Inazuma Ba lightning field. Naruto thrust a fist into the water and the electricity soon bounded off of his fist, going out through the water, jolting every single mermaid present. Naruto koi. Kurumu shouted as she flew in and grabbed him from the water. Hey Kurumu-chan. Naruto chuckled as he was dropped off onto the pool deck. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Moka asked as she ran over hugging him. Yeah, I'm fine. Naruto smiled as he let her look him over. Would you run off? Moka asked. I had a means of keeping an eye on the club here and I discovered that they were feeding on the boys, so I came back to help them. Naruto explained. Soon they were back inside the school and were quickly running out of club options. Well, how about the newspaper club? Naruto suggested as they walked into their homeroom. Sure. Moka smiled as they found Nekoman was the only person in the room. Oh, this is great. I thought that this club was going to be shut down. She cheered. Tomorrow I'll introduce you to your second-year member who will teach you everything that you'll need to know. I'll join too. Kurumu exclaimed as she ran into the room. I don't want to be apart from my Naruto koi. Naruto simply shook his head as they finished signing up and then left to get some rest before classes tomorrow. The next day Naruto, Moka and Kurumu were waiting for their last club member to show up, discussing what they might be doing. "I want to do a cooking column," Kurumu exclaimed. "I'd be better as a journalist." Naruto replied, "I'm good at finding out information that people don't want found out." "Is that so?" Kurumu giggled, "Like what, Naruto-koi?" "Let's just say it relates to what I used to do for a living." Naruto smiled. "What did you do?" Moka asked. Before they could continue to grill Naruto for information regarding his past, their last member entered, carrying a few supplies. "Hello everyone." He smiled before stopping and heading straight to Moka and attempting to ask her out on a date. "Hey, shouldn't you be showing us what we are going to be doing?" Naruto asked, causing him to jump before chuckling and heading to the front of the class. "Alright. I'm Jin Morioka, but you ladies may call me Jin, the president of newspaper club. Our job here is to report on events happening inside and outside of the school. This will occasionally take us to dangerous areas, but it's a part of the job," he explained, pausing for dramatic effect before laughing and continuing, "I'm just kidding. Now first things first. Let's hang up the posters." He then walked forward and handed Moka and Kurumu a poster to hand up on the back wall. The pair walked over and put it as high as they could before he spoke up. "No, that's not high enough. Get some chairs and get it higher." He grinned. Shrugging, the pair did and put it higher, but Jin kept saying higher while he crouched down and was looking up at them. "My pervert senses are tingling," Naruto thought. "Then put him in his place." Jubi chuckled. Naruto walked over to the wall, blocking Jin's view, and tapped the girls on the back. "Let me." Naruto replied as he took the poster and started walking up the wall, shocking them all as he stopped just a little higher than where the girls had been putting it. "This good." Yeah, he huffed as he started walking back to the teacher's desk to continue talking to them about their jobs. Once they were dismissed, Naruto had both Moka and Kurumu trying to figure out how he walked on the wall like that and what kind of yokai he was. "Come on, Naruto-koi, you know what we are," Kurumu begged. "That's because you both told me yourselves. I'm just following the rules and not revealing my true nature," Naruto replied. "Please, Naruto-kun?" Moka asked. "Sorry girls." Naruto smirked as he left, leaving the two pouting about his lack of information. The next afternoon, Jin told Naruto that they would be meeting outside today as he had the blonde follow him. "So where are Moka and Kurumu?" Naruto asked. "They'll be along shortly," Jin replied as they stopped in an alleyway. "Now why don't you do some investigative journalism and take a look at what's inside that window?" Now Naruto definitely knew that there was something wrong with this and decided to play it safe. "Why are you asking me to look into that window, Jin-senpai?" Naruto asked very loudly, causing the girls in the changing room to look out and see Jin standing there and starting to blush before taking off at a sprint. "At the perverts!" a girl shouted. Naruto reacted just as fast, leaping out of sight before the girls could try and find him. As Naruto hid, Jin decided to do what was necessary to ensure that he could claim Moka for himself and began spreading rumors that Naruto was a peeping Tom. The rumors spread like wildfire, especially once Tamao added onto it herself. "This is perfect. Once Naruto is shunned by everyone, I can claim him for myself," she thought to herself. "Shit." Naruto shouted as he leapt up the side of a building to escape an angry horde of girls. Panting, he tried to catch his breath, hoping that he had escaped the worst. "Why in the world is everyone trying to kill me?" he muttered to himself. On the roof of the main school building, Moka was miserable hearing that Naruto had not only been peeking in the girls' changing room, he had also done inappropriate things to the swimming club's female members. "Hey Moka-chan. I'm sorry you had to find out about Naruto like that." Jin smiled as he approached her, "But don't worry, I'll help you feel better." "No thanks, you Jin-senpai." Moka sighed as she started to stand up and go find Naruto. "I'm sorry Moka-chan, but I really must insist on you staying here with me. I mean, after all, it's a full moon tonight." He grinned as the moon revealed itself. Naruto frowned as he sensed Yaki coming from the roof of the school and decided to go investigate, only to find Moka being attacked by Jin. "Oh, Hiro-senpai." Naruto shouted as he leapt down, smashing into the ground where he had been standing. "It's safe to assume that you're the one trying to ruin my reputation." "I don't know what you're talking about." He laughed. "And don't call me Hiro-senpai. Stop being a peeping Tom and I will." Naruto chuckled as he rolled his shoulders. "Now leave Moka alone before I decide to beat you senseless." "Like you could. On the night of the full moon, I'm too fast for you." He laughed as he moved so fast that managed to hit Naruto several times easily. Rolling from the blows, Naruto landed by Moka, who he grabbed the Rosario of and pulled it off, letting the other Moka out. "So you bring me out again." Moka sniffed and against the smut. "Hey." Jin shouted, "Though I have to admit, this other you is just as hot as the rumors say." "Having trouble with him?" Moka asked Naruto with a smirk. "A little." Mostly I just want the extra help with dealing with him. Naruto explained as Moka just shook her head. Promise me that you will answer one of my questions and we have a deal. Fair enough. Naruto shrugged as Jin charged them. Moka tried to kick the werewolf, but he quickly proved that while Moka was stronger, he was definitely faster. Naruto and Moka worked together for a few minutes trying to pin down the wolf before Naruto decided that he was going to need to use another one of the Jubi's gifts. Skidding off to the side, he placed a hand on the ground and smirked. Ageikumonosu shadow spiderweb. Naruto shouted as the shadows on the ground lifted up and began wrapping around the teen werewolf, pinning him to the ground where he was effectively trapped. Moka blinked in surprise at the technique before Kurumu arrived to clear Naruto's name. So you did try to frame me, Iro-senpai. Naruto chuckled as Jin sighed in defeat. You know what this means? What? He asked. Just wait until tomorrow. Naruto laughed as he started to leave before Moka stopped him. You have a question to answer. She stated. But I do. Naruto nodded. I always keep my word. So what is your question? What are you? Moka asked. One of a kind. Naruto replied as he walked away. The next morning Naruto was out handing the newspaper to everyone with their front page article being about the peeping Tom werewolf, Janae Morioka. The news spread like wildfire and soon Naruto's name was cleared and he was back to his usual status of mysterious student that for some reason attracted all the major beauties of the school. Naruto frowned as he made his way through the crowd of students, heading for the board that showed how they had all ranked during the midterm examination. 98th. Naruto nodded at his score. Oh, Naruto-koi. Kurumu exclaimed as she hugged him. Could you help me study next time? I might be able to help you, but you didn't do that much worse than me. Naruto replied with a smile. Soon he heard the crowd praising Moka for her rank of 13th. Nice work, Moka-chan. Naruto smiled. Thanks, Naruto-kun. Moka nodded. Maybe we could study together next time. That'd be great, Moka. Naruto replied. Across the room there was a short girl standing at the back of the crowd, staring at Moka when suddenly a voice from behind her startled her. Not bad, Yukari, ranked first in entire class. Someone behind her began. But don't let that go to your head, you little brat. Class representative Yukari whimpered as she turned and saw that her class representative was standing behind her with a wicked grin on his face. I don't know why you're even in this school, you filthy witch. He growled. There a problem here? Naruto asked as he walked over, causing both of them to jump. This doesn't concern you. The class rep growled. You're picking on one of your classmates. I'd say that you're doing a piss poor job of looking out for your classmates. Naruto replied as he smiled at the larger student. Why you? He growled. Now don't make a scene. Naruto warned. A class representative attacking another student is a quick way of getting yourself in trouble. The class rep simply growled and stormed off, leaving Naruto standing there with Yukari. You okay? Naruto asked, looking at the smaller girl. Thank you. She exclaimed as she hugged him. You're welcome. Naruto chuckled as he pried himself free. I don't like bullies. Naruto-kun. Moka exclaimed as she and Kurumu walked over. Would you run off like that? Just saw someone that needed to be reminded of their job. Naruto chuckled before looking at Yukari, who was now focused on Moka. Oh, Moka. Yukari exclaimed as she hugged the vampire. I love you. She then went on to explain how she had been watching from afar and her love had grown and now she wanted to date the beautiful vampire. As friends, Moka sighed. Be it. Yukari cheered as she started to pull Moka away before turning and sticking her tongue out at the other two. And to make sure that we stay together, I'll keep everyone else away. She then took out a wand and swung it, unleashing several brooms that Sun started trying to herd Naruto and Kurumu away. Naruto simply weaved through the brooms and decided to let this slide for now. Over the next few days there were various things that kept trying to hurt Naruto and keep him away from Moka, from falling pots to breaking chairs. It had been 3 days of the continuous pranks and Kurumu was starting to get very annoyed about the continuous pranks and that Naruto was almost always the target of C pranks. She's a pest. Kurumu exclaimed. She could be worse. Naruto sighed as he leaned back in the chair in the newspaper club. I don't see how. Kurumu grumbled. Naruto was about to answer when suddenly he felt his body moving on its own, leaning in towards Kurumu and then the hands trying to grope her wrists. Someone's messing with you. Jubi noted calmly. I noticed. Naruto roared. Kurumu blinked as she saw the surprised look on Naruto's face as his body started moving. Before the puppet master could attempt to control him further, there was a swirl of red yaki that quickly wrapped around him, giving him a far more demonic appearance. I won't be controlled. He roared as the yaki scattered and Yukari, who had been outside the door, let out a yelp of surprise as the doll she had been using burst into flames. Naruto turned to see Yukari staring at him in shock before she snapped at him. So are you going to run me off like everyone else, you big bully? Yukari shouted as she ran off. Naruto sighed as Moka looked at him for what happened. Sorry about that. Naruto sighed. I better go find her. Why? She got what she deserved. Kurumu sniffed. She's lashing out. Naruto replied, I know what she's going through, probably better than anyone else in this school. Before Kurumu could say anything else, Naruto walked out and the blue-haired girl looked at Moka. From what Naruto told me yesterday, she's apparently hated by all her classmates. She plays pranks on them and that just makes them hate her more. Moka explained as she went to follow Naruto, with Kurumu right behind her. Yukari sobbed some more at how Naruto had reacted to her prank. This was the way it always went and now she was going to lose Moka as well because Naruto wouldn't let her be with her. Well, there you are. Now that the blonde is gone I can deal with you properly. The class rep laughed as he and two others surrounded the young witch. Class rep? Yukari asked in fear. So what should we do with the little witch? One asked. I say we eat her. The other henchman laughed. I like it. Class rep grinned as he transformed into his lizard form. Looks like we found a use for you after all. Just as the three were about to swarm the girl, there was the sound of leaves rustling and then grunts of pain. Yukari finally opened her eyes and saw Naruto there, holding the transformed class rep by the throat. I told you that I don't like bullies. Naruto growled. The other two lizards hissed in anger when suddenly they were blocked by Kurumu and Moka. Take this as your only warning. Naruto snarled, if I ever see you trying this again I will see if lizards really do have regeneration abilities. Without another word he threw the class rep to the ground and watched as the three ran off. Turning he looked at Yukari with a small smile. I'm sorry that I got so mad at you. I don't like being manipulated. Would you help me? Yukari asked. Because I know what it's like to be hated and rejected. To lash out for attention. You're not alone in that regard, but pranking people isn't the best way to do it. Work hard to prove to them that you deserve their recognition and find some good friends that will be there for you. Naruto smiled as he patted her head. You're not a bad witch, you've got some talent. Yukari blinked at Naruto as he walked away with Moka chasing after him and Kurumu looking at her for a moment. Shame you couldn't get him to fall for me. Kurumu snickered as she ran off after Naruto too. The next day the three were working on the newspaper when Kurumu brought up Yukari. So did you hear about Yukari? Kurumu asked. I did. Naruto nodded. She apologized in front of her entire class for the pranks. I'm proud of her. Yeah. But what did you mean about you understanding her? Moka asked. Before Naruto could answer, Yukari walked in with a smile on her face. Hey Yukari. Naruto smiled. What brings you here? Well, I came to join the newspaper club. She began before running up and hugging him and to say how much I love you too, Naruto-kun. Naruto stared shocked at the young girl hugging him, claiming that she loved him. Oh, I still love Moka-chan too, but I want to share both of you now. What? Kurumu exclaimed. Stay out of this, you big-titted cow. Yukari shouted as she waved her wand and a pot dropped on Kurumu's head, angering the succubus. Now ladies. Naruto sighed as he held up his hands to try and stop them from causing too much of a fight. But Naruto, Yukari and Kurumu complained while Moka tried not to laugh. Soon Naruto had to get used to the constant presence of a third girl in his circle of friends who was constantly trying to get a three-way between her, him and Moka. Meanwhile the blonde was working more and more on controlling his powers and was quickly learning that Jubi had given him quite a bit of a power increase. He was able to do things with fire and shadows that he hadn't even known was possible, and he was still learning about all of his abilities. It was about a week later that the four of them were enjoying their Saturday off, having finished the newspaper for the next week early when the discussion took an interesting turn. So what was it like living in the human world for you? Naruto asked Moka. It was terrible. I hate humans. Moka explained. She then went on to tell about how the humans had made fun of her for believing about monsters, ridiculing her and tormenting her, calling her a freak, and making fun of her for her Rosario and other things. My time wasn't much better. Kurumu agreed as she explained how she had so many different boys trying to do inappropriate things to her since she had developed early. Same here. Yukari nodded as she explained about how humans were just terrible to her too. What about you, Naruto-kun? Yeah. Speaking of, we don't even know what kind of yaokai you are. Kurumu noted. Well, he's not a water type since his blood is tasty. Moka noted. He can walk on walls and can manipulate shadows and fire. Kurumu noted. And he's really fast and strong. Yukari added. So what kind of yaokai are you? They all asked, focused on the blonde. Well, crap. Naruto groaned mentally. You're stuck. Just tell them already. Jubi replied calmly. Worst case scenario, they find out you're a human and then you get to go on a mass rampage in self-defense. You're not helping. Naruto stated. Well, Naruto-koi? Kurumu asked. I'm a Jinchuruki. Naruto replied calmly. Moka and Kurumu frowned at this, clearly confused at what kind of yaokai that was. Yukari, however, seemed to have a basic idea of what it was though. How bad was it? She asked. Let's just say that it is a minor miracle that I am alive today. Naruto shrugged. Yukari's eyes widened at this, and Moka and Kurama looked at the witch for an answer. What's a Jinchuruki? Moka asked. I'm not entirely positive, but they are powerful beings with abilities like nothing that we could imagine. Some were capable of manipulating different elements, and it said that some were so strong they could literally change the landscape. Yukari explained they were feared and often hated by their homes. One hasn't been seen though for hundreds of years. Are they born? Kurama asked. They're created. Naruto replied as he stood up. But what does the name mean? Moka asked. Yukari frowned and shook her head, saying that she didn't know the answer before Naruto explained. The name means human sacrifice. He stated, shocking the mage Jinchuruki is born a human and then has a demon sealed inside of them. They gain characteristics of the demon sealed inside of them and abilities relating to them, and most are eventually capable of working with a demon to the point that they can temporarily become that demon. So you see, I'm human, and since you all seem to hate them, I'll let you be. The three girls blinked at his explanation before he left, wrapping himself into the shadows and disappearing. Is that true? Moka asked. I guess. It explains why they aren't that common, but if he's human, why was he allowed into the school? Kurama asked. Because a Jinchuruki is a yokai. If they are created, then it must be permanent. Yukari replied, and since they are made, it explains why he's always emitting so much yaki. I doubt he even notices that he's doing it. The three exchanged looks again, trying to wrap their minds around the whole thing. Well, I don't care if he is human. Kurama exclaimed, he is still my destined one. The Tsukuba soon flew off, searching for the blonde while Yukari looked at Moka. He's still the same, Naruto. Moka smiled, he is our friend, so let's go find him and remind him of that. Yes. One step closer to that sweet threesome. Yukari mentally cheered. Naruto sat in the densest part of the forest that he could find as he began drawing on the Jubi's chakra and learning how to manage it. For the most part, the Jubi didn't try to take over his body, stating the one time Naruto had asked that to take over a pathetic moral body would be a trying game of tug of war with you, one that I could possibly lose given the fact that you managed to best Kyuubi. I would rather bide my time until you are at your lowest and then strike. Naruto had taken this to heart and always kept the darkness from overwhelming him, remembering all of the good times that he had before proceeding doing any work with the Jubi. As he sat, he heard a rustling sound and turned to see that there was a group of lizardmen approaching him, carrying branches to be used as clubs. Well, if it isn't Naruto Uzumaki. Just the guy we were looking for. One laughed. We heard about what you did to our friend, so we decided to get back at you with interest. The other roared as the group charged him. You guys, Naruto began as the red chakra enveloped him. Before they could even react, he was behind the group, with most of them dropping to the ground with open wounds on their sides and shoulders. Picked a bad day to mess with me. Turning, his eyes had turned red and his nails and lengthened so that he could use them to slash his opponents. As the chakra solidified, it let loose enough pure yaki to let every monster in the area know that a powerful being was angry. Kurama wheeled in the air as she felt the yaki and turned towards the forest to find Naruto, with Moka and Yukari hot on her heels. By the time the three got there, a pile of unconscious bodies were piled in a heap, with Naruto sitting on top of them all, a faint chakra coat around him. Naruto Koi. Kurama exclaimed. Why did you three come find me? I thought you hated humans. Naruto asked with a sad smile. But we don't hate you. Moka exclaimed as Naruto climbed down. Just because we've had a bad experience with humans doesn't mean that you aren't our friend. Besides, Jinchuruki are yokai. Yukari exclaimed. Naruto blinked at this and looked at her a little confused. That explains the headmaster letting me stay. Naruto noted as they started to walk out of the forest. So Naruto, from the text I read about Jinchuruki, it said that they have 1 to 9 tails. How many do you have? Yukari asked. 10. Naruto replied as he walked, and they all stopped to gawk. 10? They exclaimed. Yeah, 10. Naruto replied, acting like it was nothing. How is that possible? Kurama asked in shock. It's 1 through 9. Was? Naruto replied, Jinchuruki live in another dimension. I got here by accident and am staying until the headmaster can get me away home. What do you mean accident? Moka asked. Well, why don't we go back to my room, I'll make some tea and I can explain it all. Naruto offered. Yes. Kurama exclaimed, this is the first time you've invited us to your dorm. Naruto only chuckled as they walked, heading into his dorm room, where they were shocked at how clean it was, given that they had seen how messy Naruto's bag was. Soon they were sitting around the room, with Naruto having handed out cups of tea and giving Moka a cup of his blood that she smiled at. Okay, go ahead and ask your questions and I will answer them the best I can. Naruto sighed as he leaned back against his bed. How did you get here? Yukari started. A Fuinjutsu accident. Fuinjutsu is the art of sealing, just so you know. I was working on a way to disperse the yaki, I admit, so I wouldn't keep driving away living beings. Something went wrong and I got pulled along with it and wound up in some big city. After that the headmaster sent the bus driver to pick me up and I enrolled. Naruto explained. What's your home like? Moka asked. Less populated with more nature. Naruto smiled. I used to live in a rather large village before I got the Jubi inside of me. After that I moved into a small hut in the woods around the village. How did you get the Jubi sealed in you? Kurumu asked. Do you want the long story or the short? Naruto asked. Keep it short, we have more questions. Kurumu replied. Okay. Short version is that I was originally the Jinchuruki of the Kyuubi, but me and Hachibi's Jinchuruki released our demons to stop an incomplete Jubi from rampaging. This nearly killed both of us for the record. While my friend healed me, my revived dad created a new seal and locked away the newly created Jubi inside of me since I was still growing and would be able to handle the beast being inside of me. Naruto explained. Why was there an incomplete Jubi? Yukari asked. Some crazy bastard was trying to recreate the Jubi to use its power to create a massive illusion that would trap everyone in the entire world inside of it. He had already gotten the other Biju, and with only 2 of us left we had to fight him off. Naruto explained. Did your village know about you being a Jinchuruki? Moka asked. Yeah, Naruto sighed. Made my life a living hell. If they weren't trying to kill me they ignored my very existence. Became a prankster to get attention. That's terrible. Yukari whimpered. Tell me about it. Only had a handful of people actually like me once I got older. After I saved the entire village I managed to earn their respect, but later on it kind of felt hollow after getting the Jubi sealed in me and they went straight to fearing me. Naruto shrugged. Granted, I still haven't really learned how to handle all my powers, but it still kind of hurt. Did you have a girlfriend before you left? Kurumu asked. Naruto blinked at this question and decided to answer it, given how all 3 girls were staring at him intently now. Not really. I had a girl I had a crush on for a while, but she hooked up with my best friend. There was another girl that claimed she loved me and almost died defending me once. I do like her, but I don't see us dating. She's a great person and a really good friend, but I don't see us together like that. Naruto replied. And there was a girl I made a stupid promise to. What kind of stupid promise? Moka asked with a frown. I kind of promised to father her children. He muttered. All 3 girls gawked at this statement before Yukari finally asked what they were all thinking. Did you? Not yet, Naruto replied. It's kind of written in stone though. So you're saying that you have to have sex with this woman because you unknowingly promised to? Kurumu stated bluntly. Yeah. Naruto nodded. How did this happen? Moka asked. Naruto then proceeded to give a quick explanation about his whole ordeal with Shion, the priestess from Oni no Kuni. Is she better looking than us? Kurumu asked with an evil smile. Not answering that one. Naruto exclaimed, because no matter what I say this ends badly for me. Oh come on, Naruto-kun. Moka complained. Is she beautiful? Does she have friests as big as mine? Kurumu asked as she held up her large friests. Naruto was stammering at this point as all 3 girls were surrounding him now with that predatory look in their eyes as they cornered him, trying to get him to answer the question. Come on, Naruto-koi. Answer the question. Kurumu breathed into his ear. Or would you rather do something else? Enough. Naruto exclaimed as the shadows wrapped around him and he sank into them, reappearing at the other end of the room that was way too close to me being raped. Hey. Kurumu exclaimed. You'd enjoy it, Naruto-koi. Besides the point. Naruto replied with a smirk. All 3 girls just shook their heads as they sat back down and continued talking, learning more about Naruto's past. Naruto yawned as he climbed out of his bed and started getting ready for the day. It was Monday and he detested this day more than the others. As he went about his morning rituals he stopped at the calendar and made sure to mark off another day. Once finished he made his way to homeroom where he saw Moka reading a different book than normal. Hey Moka-chan. Naruto smiled as he sat down next to her and looked at the book, an art book. Yeah. Moka smiled. Ishigami-sensei agreed to help me with a project I'm working on after school, so I won't be at the newspaper club this week. Okay. Naruto replied. Have fun with your work. With that, class started and when the final bell rang Naruto was sitting in the clubroom when Jin walked in. We have a serious story. He exclaimed, being serious for once. There have been 7 disappearances in the past 2 months, all of the beautiful women. Okay, Naruto muttered. Other than their beauty there is no connection that they can determine between them. So we are going to investigate and rescue them. Jin exclaimed. Naruto and the other 2 girls just sighed at this, realizing what Jin was doing. Sighing, Naruto took the profiles from Jin and began looking over them, reading all the details and letting his shinobi training kick in to see any patterns that the untrained eye might have missed. Frowning in the end he set them down and looked at Jin. You were right about the no obvious connections. I'll start poking around and see what I can dig up. Naruto stated as he stood up. We'll help. Kurumu and Yukari exclaimed. Aren't there other articles that need to be written? Naruto asked with a grin as he watched the two deflate at the statement relax you two. I'll be back in an hour or so. I just want to see what I can dig up. Walking out of the classroom he made his way to each of the clubs that the girls had belonged to and began asking around about their interests and hobbies, finding that while some were connected to one another, others had no connection to some of them whatsoever. This continued for several days until he finally managed to get a decent lead. 5 of the girls had the same art class and the other 2 had often ditched their class to go to the same art class. Probable cause to poke around. Naruto stated as he went to the classroom and saw Moka was there, working on a painting, and that Ishigami was there instructing her. Suddenly he saw a girl burst in with a smile on her face. I ditched my club to come hang out with you Ishigami-sensei. She exclaimed. That's wonderful dear. Ishigami smiled as the girl walked in to work on some project of her own. That teacher seems rather nice. But so far she is the only common denominator between them all. I'll wait a bit and then snoop around her classroom. Naruto thought as he went up into a nearby tree and observed. It took a few hours before he saw everyone leave the room and Naruto made his move. Walking into the hallway he quickly picked the lock and was in the classroom, looking around for any evidence that Ishigami had anything to do with the girls' disappearances. Soon he found her office and again started picking the lock. As he finished he heard the girl that had ditched her club and Ishigami returning to the classroom. Acting quickly Naruto went into the office, locked the door and quickly hinged to look like one of the idols that were in a corner. Soon Ishigami unlocked the door and led the girl in, and she had a wicked smile on her face. Before the young student even realized what had happened Ishigami's dreadlocks transformed into snake-like creatures that bit her several times, turning her into stone. Gorgon. Jubi exclaimed. Bad? Naruto asked. Kid, Gorgons are dangerous creatures that can turn anything into stone. Luckily for you this is one of the descendants otherwise all she would have to do is make eye contact with you and you'd be screwed. Jubi explained quickly. Ishigami soon moved the statue into a large storage closest where Naruto could see other statues of girls in there. Smiling to herself she turned and walked out the door. Sighing Naruto released the hinge and after checking to make sure that Ishigami had left he opened the door. Walking carefully out he stopped when he heard the sound of hissing. Leaping to the side he saw the snake hair trying to bite him. I knew that there was a rat in here. Ishigami chuckled your Yauki gave you away little Snoop. Really need to work on suppressing it. Naruto complained. Well you won't have to after I make you a part of my collection. I normally don't take boys, but you are a rather handsome specimen. Ishigami chuckled now just hold still and it will all be over quickly. Try me. Naruto growled as he made the shadows in the room lift off the ground I'm more than you can handle. Is that what you really think? Ishigami asked with an evil grin as she removed her bandana, giving her hair free movement, you don't stand a chance. Ishigami-sensei. Moka called as she opened the door to see the scene before her. Moka. Naruto shouted as the snakes headed right for her. Naruto reacted before he could think things through and leapt in front of the snakes, taking the bites that were meant for his friend. Naruto-kun. Moka screamed as she saw him turning to stone. Pick her ass. Naruto groaned as he pulled off the Rosario, just before turning to stone. The next thing Naruto knew he was laying in the infirmary, laying on a bed with the sounds of light breathing. Ugh what happened? Naruto groaned. You were a chivalrous idiot. Jubi replied you took the bite meant for the vampire and she in turn beat the shit out of the Gorgon. Naruto slowly sat up and saw Moka sleeping in a chair near his bed. As he stepped out of the bed he saw her eyes shoot open. Naruto-kun. She exclaimed as she hugged you're okay. I've been better. Naruto chuckled as he heard the door open and saw Kurumu and Yukari rush in. Naruto. They both shouted as they hugged him too. Glad to know I'm loved. Naruto chuckled. We were so worried about you. Kurumu sobbed you've been unconscious for almost a day. I have. It's Friday already? Naruto asked in shock. Yeah. Yukari replied after Ishigami-sensei bit you were a statue. Jin figured out that it was Ishigami-sensei doing this and we rushed there in time to see Inner Moka beat Ishigami-sensei. But you were still a statue after she was unconscious. It took almost a day for you to turn back to normal. Damn. Naruto whistled as he glanced over to the side he saw a painting covered by a sheet what's that? Oh. This is what I was working on with Ishigami-sensei. Moka replied as she unveiled her painting. It was a portrait of Naruto and how he looked on the first day that they had met. Looking over it he realized how mysterious that he had been then, how closed off to the world he had been becoming, and he felt a smile stretching his lips as he realized that he had made some very irreplaceable friends. It's great Moka-chan. Naruto smiled what did you plan on doing with it? I was going to give it to you. Since we've known each other you've let me drink your blood all the time and I felt that I should give you something in return. Moka smiled as she handed him the painting. Thanks. Naruto nodded I'll hang it up in my room. Moka smiled while Kurumu glared at Moka for coming up with such a thoughtful gift. That night once Naruto was dismissed, the four of them relaxed in Naruto's room, laughing and enjoying the night, along with the fact that Naruto was going to be alright. The next morning they paid for it though, having to work on the newspaper to be published by Monday. Come on guys. The Ishigami incident was Thursday. If we don't have this out soon, then what kind of newspaper are we? Jin shouted at them as he sat at the teacher's desk, sipping his coffee. This would work faster if you helped us. Naruto remarked as he finished setting an article. I am helping. I'm supervising. Jin replied. You mean being lazy? Yukari stated as Jin's face fell. Just get to work. He shouted. Sighing, they continued working when Nekoman entered, carrying a box. Hello everyone, how's it going? She asked. Pretty well. Naruto replied as he started working on the next article. Well, I brought snacks for all of you, so take a break and enjoy. Nekoman smiled as she set down the box, and the four took a look inside to see fish. Nekoman-sensei, these aren't even cooked. Kurumu stated. They taste better that way. She smiled in reply. Naruto simply shook his head as he picked one up and used his fire to cook it, and soon was being passed more by the other girls. Please cook ours too. Yukari pleaded. Sighing, Naruto proceeded to cook the fish, and they began to eat with vigor. Oh, by the way Kurumu, this was left outside the door for you. Nekoman smiled as she handed the Tsukubus an envelope. The girl was all smiles as she opened it and then frowned at the contents before putting them back in envelope and setting it off to the side. I'm sorry guys, I forgot that I had to do something really important today. Kurumu smiled in apology as she ran off. Wait Kurumu. Moka shouted after the girl as she ran off. Naruto frowned at this, knowing that there was something wrong with this picture and decided to keep an eye on it. Hage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto muttered as he made two clones, nodding at one of them to follow after Kurumu while the other started to finish up Kurumu's articles. When did you learn to do that? Jin exclaimed. I've been able to do that since I was 13. Naruto shrugged. It's not that big a deal. Not a big deal, Jin exclaimed. If you can make copies of yourself we could increase our work speed. And get more confused at the same time. Naruto replied calmly. In a brawl, sure, tons of them is useful. In delicate situations like this, less is more. So they're solid? Moka asked as she poked the clone. Yep. Can take a single good hit before they disappear. But I can make hundreds of them, so it doesn't really matter. Naruto replied with a shrug. Kurumu soon arrived at the monster tree and saw a person sitting in the lower branches. You're the one that sent me the letter? She snapped. I am. He grinned. I needed to get your attention somehow. My attention? Kurumu hissed. Yes. Don't you remember your promise? He asked. Don't you remember me, Nagar-Kano? Kurumu blinked at the name and tried to remember, but found that she couldn't since she had flirted with tons of boys and in hopes of finding her destined one. Nagar soon got the hint that she didn't remember and filled her in that she had promised him a date if he would take great photos of her. It's time to pay up. He grinned. Let's go on that date you promised me. I never said when. Kurumu exclaimed. It doesn't matter. Nagar hissed. If you don't, everyone will see those perverted photos of you, especially your precious Naruto. Kurumu looked crushed and finally agreed to his demands as he leapt down and started to lead her away. Soon he had led her into an abandoned shed where he had her change into various cosplays for him to take photos of. How's this a date? She exclaimed. This is what I want our date to be. Now keep it up or I'll show Naruto those photos. He snapped as he took more photos. Now the clone of Naruto was already observing this entire situation and was trying to decide if he should help her. Frowning more as he saw that Nagar was starting to get more and more perverted with the cosplays, his chivalrous side finally won out and he struck. Leaping down and busting the window, landing in front of the slug. I think the nice lady said no. Naruto chuckled. So unless you want me to beat you into the middle of next week, leave. Oh ho ho. He chuckled. So you came to protect her? Even though she is such a perverted girl. I am not. Kurumu cried. Enough. Naruto roared, his yaki pouring out, scaring Nagar and shocking Kurumu that it wasn't directed at her, but Nagar, Kurumu is my friend, I will not let you harm her like this. Think you can stop me? He asked with a laugh as two stalks rose from his neck, emitting a gas that Naruto wasn't sure what it would do, but was certain he would be immune. Before he could do anything he was paralyzed and now he realized his mistake as Nagar knocked him over and then stomped on his face, causing him to dissipate in a cloud of smoke. The real Naruto jolted upright as his clone was destroyed and immediately went over to the envelope and opened it to see the contents with a dark frown on his face. Blackmail. He growled as the others took a look with shock. Let's go, Kurumu needs our help. Kurumu was now backed against the wall as Nagar moved even closer when he suddenly heard a hissing sound. Turning, the door exploded with a boom and Naruto stood there, red charca enveloping him as his rage became even more evident. I thought I warned you. Naruto hissed as he disappeared from sight, grabbing the boy by the throat and smashing him into the wall, that if you didn't leave her alone I'd end you. You won't. He laughed as he slipped through his grasp, revealing that he was some kind of slug. Naruto leapt back as he prepared to blast him to oblivion when he saw the gas heading for him and instead switched places with a nearby tombstone, using the Kurimi technique. You can't escape me. Nagar laughed as he moved closer. Kurumu stared in shock as Yukari and Moka arrived to help too, and something inside of her snapped. Screaming her rage that this person would try to harm her friends, she unlocked her true abilities as a succubus, creating a mass illusion that even Naruto was trapped in. The monster tree came to life, its roots rising out of the ground and grabbing Nagar, stopping him from escaping. I don't care what you do to me, but no one harms my friends. Kurumu shouted as she turned into her true form and struck, knocking the boy out and ending the illusion. Damn. Naruto whistled in surprise, it's been a long time since I felt a genjutsu that strong. You got caught too? Yukari asked surprised since Naruto explained that since the Jubi had been sealed in him, most genjutsu would shatter as they hit him. Naruto. Kurumu exclaimed as she hugged the blonde who smiled at her. You okay, Kurumu? He smiled as he hugged her, letting her get out any tears that she might have. Yeah, thank you, Naruto, she sobbed. You saved me. You saved yourself. Naruto chuckled. You were amazing. Thank you, Naruto, you really are one of a kind. Kurumu whispered, just know this, no matter what happens you will always have me. Naruto instantly blushed at this, and once Kurumu was calmed down, he let her go and smiled as she apologized to both Moka and Yukari about her running off like that. Well, enough hanging around, we still have to finish the newspaper. Naruto cheered as they went back to the club room to see the copies of Naruto that he had made before they left, still hard at work. Kurumu's jaw dropped at the scene, and several images went through her mind, most of them not so wholesome. That is a very interesting skill. Kurumu giggled as his face turned red. I don't like where this is heading. Naruto sighed as he dispelled the clone, so let's finish up. With a cheer the four were soon back to work, with a stronger friendship between them and their succubus friend. Come on, you guys can do better than that. Naruto laughed as the three girls tried their best to hit him as he dodged and weaved around them. How is he doing this? Kurumu exclaimed as she dive-bombed him, only for him to drop onto his back and then flip over her as she tried to slash him with her claws. I have no clue. Yukari replied as she used her magic to send tombstones flying at the blonde who only leapt on top of them and kept jumping to avoid the attacks. HMPH. Inner Moka sniffed as she leapt above him and tried to deliver a heel kick on the blonde. Know your place. I do. Naruto said from above her. Before Moka could react he grabbed her leg and flipped around, throwing her into the succubus that was flying up towards him. It happens to be above all of you. Naruto landed with a smirk still on his face as the three girls glared at him. I told you girls that this wasn't going to be easy, and I'm only limiting myself to the bare essentials of Taijutsu at the moment. And he claims to be a human. Yukari snickered. An abnormal one. Naruto replied with his famous foxy grin. Come on girls, you can do better than this. Inner Moka only smirked as she looked at Kurumu and Yukari and whispered something to each of them. They nodded once they were done and struck, with Yukari maintaining the long-range barrage that Naruto avoided with ease. Soon he felt his senses distort as Kurumu managed to trap him in an illusion as he knew that Inner Moka was heading right for him. Focusing his chakra he created a bubble around himself and felt it when someone entered his space, managing to move to avoid the direct hit but was unable to dodge the follow-up attack. Skidding back, Naruto cringed in pain as he felt one of his ribs was cracked. That is one lethal kick, Moka. Naruto grunted as he focused Jubi's chakra to the wound to heal it. I was aiming for that big head of yours. She replied in kind as Naruto dropped to the ground to avoid a tombstone before leaping back up and striking, finally managing to break the illusion on him and see where Moka was. Using chakra to enhance his natural abilities, he clashed with Moka and found that in pure hand-to-hand combat, Moka was easily stronger than Guy, and it stood to reason that in the right conditions, she could probably even give Tsunade a run for her money. However, Naruto was used to sparring against people with remarkable strength differences and was prepared for this, using her own strength against her by relying more on his speed to get around her blows and deliver his own punishing blows to her sides, eventually managing to get her down on one knee. Do you yield? Naruto asked calmly as he looked at the vampire. Never. Moka snarled as she uppercutted the blonde, causing him to lift off the ground as Yukari sent another tombstone at him, smashing into his side as Kurumu dropped down to spear him. Just before Kurumu managed to drive her nails around Naruto's head, the blonde smirked, reaching under his sleeves and then disappeared. The girl suddenly collapsed to the ground as Naruto reappeared, his smirk still on his face. Congrats. You made me release my gravity seals. Naruto laughed as the three stood up, a little shook up, but none the worse for the wear. Gravity seals? Yukari asked. Yeah. Seals that make gravity take more in effect on me. Naruto replied with a grin. Makes for excellent physical training. And how much were they at? Kurumu asked. Roughly 20x Earth's usual gravity. Naruto replied as all three stared at him like he was crazy. My goal is to get them to 100x. Naruto, you are a special kind of crazy. Inner Moka chuckled as she shook her head and picked up her Rosario. You win today, but next time you don't get to release those seals. Deal. Naruto smiled as Moka turned back to her pink-haired self. Soon the four went to meet up with Jin and start selling the newest edition of the newspaper, detailing the events of Ishigami. As they were selling the newspapers, Naruto spotted two people approaching that he knew were going to be trouble. Well, what do we have here? The male asked with a condescending smirk. Just selling newspapers. Naruto replied with a grin as he stared down the team. Care to buy one? No. The man replied. He then nodded to the female who prepared to smash the booth when Naruto moved in between her and caught her hand, squeezing it until there was a cracking sound. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Naruto chuckled. You dare lay a hand on the Student Protection Committee? She shouted. HMPH. You are an arrogant little shit, aren't you? The man smirked. I'll enjoy crushing you later. Now as for the matter of business. I might be persuaded to let this illegal club stay if you give me a kickback of, let's say 90% of your profits. No way. Kurumu shouted at him as the others nodded as well. Naruto only grinned as he let the girl's hand go and looked at the man. Let me make you a counter offer. Leave us alone to sell our newspapers and I won't have to leave pieces of you scattered around the academy. Naruto grinned, emitting enough yaki to make his point. Do you think that you can? He grinned in turn. One way to find out. Naruto chuckled. The two had a stare down for a moment before he turned and started to walk away. As tempting as it is, I have better things to do than squish a bug like you. Consider this your only warning. My name is Caillou, and if you attempt to oppose me or the School Protection Committee, I will deem you an enemy of the school and have you dealt with accordingly. Caillou stated as he walked away. As of now, no newspapers will be allowed to sell unless we receive your donation fee. Try to and I will make sure that you are dealt with. The girl laughed as she ran off to catch up with Caillou. Naruto shook his head as he turned to look at Jin, who looked both pale and annoyed. You alright? Naruto asked as he looked at the werewolf. Not really. Jin sighed. Jin then proceeded to explain how last year's newspaper club hadn't given the kickback and had been destroyed because of it. So they are the worst bunch of scum. Naruto snorted. I've dealt with worse. I doubt it. They are strong and not to be messed with lightly. Jin stated. For now let's lay low and wait until they focus on someone else and then we can start up again. No way. Kurumu shouted. We worked so hard on these. The Succubus then stormed off while the others all traded looks. Naruto shrugged as he made a Kage Bushin and nodded at it to follow his friend and make sure that she wouldn't get into any trouble while he helped pack up the booth. Do you always send a clone to follow us when we aren't around you? Yukari asked. Only when I think you might do something stupid. Naruto replied. So not as often as one would think, given the fact that you three never really want to leave my side. That's because we love you. Yukari exclaimed as she hugged him while Naruto just sighed. Soon the four were back in the club room and Naruto was discussing the School Protection Committee with Jin, trying to find out what he knew about them, their numbers and general appetites. Are you planning on picking a fight? Jin asked. No. But odds are that Caillou will. Naruto answered. When we had that stare down, we were already running a battle of wills and he realized that I wouldn't break easily. He may be crazy, but the phrase crazy like a fox comes to mind. So you think he may go after one of us to get to you and make you start a direct fight? Moka asked. Possibly. But I doubt that. I confronted him, showed backbone against him. He'll want to take me down himself to prove that he is top dog. Naruto replied calmly, and when he does I'll show him why I'm at the top of the food chain. Or you'll die. Jin smirked seriously. Caillou is not one to cross lightly, he'll crush you if so much as thinks you're a threat. Let him try. I've faced scary things than him. Hell, I killed an immortal. Naruto chuckled as Jin and the girls all blinked at this statement. Naruto soon excused himself and decided to confront his shadows. Moving off to the back of the school, he stopped and waited as two students in the School Protection Committee uniform approached him. What do you want? Naruto asked with a smirk. Caillou told us to come make you an offer to survive the week. The one with glasses stated calmly. And that would be? Naruto asked. You join us and work for Caillou, or we kill you right now for mouthing off. The taller man replied. You make a tempting offer. And I haven't heard a ye old join or die speech in a long time. But my answer is no. Naruto replied. The two simply smirked as they shifted, the man with glasses becoming a Cerberus and the other turning into a giant stone golem and both trying to kill him. Naruto was faster than both of them though, disengaging the gravity seals and appearing out of their reach as the Cerberus fell, with dozens of slash wounds on him as Naruto twirled a kunai in his hands. "You two are too slow to be playing with me," Naruto stated as he looked at the golem. "Doesn't matter. That little knife won't even scratch me." He laughed. "Don't need to." Naruto grinned as he made a hand sign and laughed as the explosive seals he had placed onto the golem went off with a loud boom, nearly killing both of the assailants. Turning, Naruto started to leave when his clone disappeared, alerting him that Kurama was in danger. But the seals still off, Naruto managed to get to the Tsukubus in seconds to see that the girl from earlier was there, revealing herself to be a Jirugumo. "You'll die now, you little bis." She laughed. "No, you will," Naruto stated from above her as he had jumped and was now crashing down towards her, Rasengan at the ready and using the shadows to hold her in place as he rammed the sphere into her face, sending her smashing into the ground. Kurama was shocked to see Naruto there with a dark look in his eyes as he kicked the girl out of the crater and used the shadows to hold her down while creating a giant sword out of his own shadow. "Now then, I'm going to let you live," Naruto began, seeing a faint light of hope in her eyes as he did, "but you're going to be delivering a message for me. You tell your boss that if he tries this weak shit again, I will personally feed him his own ass. Tell him if he wants a fight, come and get it, otherwise leave me and the school alone." Once he was finished, he nodded for her to leave and watched her run as fast as his legs could carry her. "Naruto, that was Kurama," began as she saw the blonde look at her, letting the shadow sword disappear. "Terrifying," Naruto offered. "Cool," Kurama exclaimed as she hugged him. "You just leaping down like that and saving me. You're like my knight in shining armor." "I wouldn't take it that far," Naruto chuckled as he hugged her back. "Now come on, let's get back to club room and let them know that I just declared war on the biggest problem this school has." "Homework," Kurama laughed as Naruto grinned. "Okay, second biggest," Naruto amended. Once they were back in the clubroom, Jin started ripping them a new one. "I thought I told you not to mess with the school protection committee," he shouted. "This could wind up with them bringing their full might down upon us." "I doubt it," Naruto replied. "If anything, they will likely come for me." "That is not a good thing." Jin sighed. "Look, just go back to your dorms and keep a low profile. If nothing else, we can hope that something else happens to lure them away from us." Nodding, Naruto escorted the girls back himself and made sure that they were safely in their dorms before heading back for his. As he was about to open the door, he stopped and leapt away just as a wave of fire hit where he had been standing. Turning, he tried to find the source of it but found no one nearby. "Well, this is going to be fun," Naruto sighed as he opened the door, swept the room for any assailants or traps before going to sleep. The next morning, as he started on his way to class, he was stopped by easily a dozen members of the Public Safety Commission. "Naruto Uzumaki, you are under arrest for being an enemy of the school. We have permission to use lethal force if you resist," one stated calmly. "Oh really?" Naruto chuckled. "I thought I made my point clear yesterday. You proved that you are a threat and need to be dealt with. We also have reason to believe that you are in fact a human." He grinned. Naruto stared at him and just smirked. "If that is the case, then you yokai are so weak that one measly human can take you out without any real effort," Naruto replied as the members of the SPC moved closer in and looked like they wanted to rip him to shreds themselves. "Silence. But since talking won't work on you, let me say one more thing. If you manage to best us or escape, we have permission to hunt down all of your friends here at the school and kill every last one of them." He grinned as Naruto's smirk finally dropped. "Fine." Naruto nodded as he looked at the leader of the little group. "Go ahead and take me to your headquarters." The group only smirked as they walked, leading him to the edge of the school grounds, leading him underground, where he was soon walking past several prison cells with various yokai and kai waiting for him. "Ah, he didn't give you any trouble now, did he?" he asked with a smirk. "No. Once we explained what would happen to him if he resisted and what would happen to his friends, he was very quiet." The leader smirked. Kai nodded. "Good. Now keep an eye on them and make sure that they don't do anything to upset the peace of the school." Kai replied as he motioned for Naruto to follow him. The blonde did and walked behind the man as he led him to a torture chamber where he stopped and Naruto walked around the edge of the room, examining the various implements. "Not bad. Though I would recommend that you pick up some senbon needles," Naruto remarked. "Is that so?" Caillou asked with a grin. "And what makes you think that I would listen to anything that you have to say, human?" "Who says that I'm human?" Naruto asked with a grin of his own. "Then transform and prove me wrong," Kai replied. "I'd rather follow school rules and not reveal my true nature," Naruto stated. "And my authority overrides that." "I think that the headmaster would disagree with that," Naruto chuckled. "The headmaster won't do anything against us. After all, he was the one that created this organization," Kai replied with a smug grin. Now Naruto was slightly surprised at this until he remembered that the headmaster had hired him to handle any problems that arose. Maybe, but he is ashamed of you guys. Naruto chuckled, otherwise I wouldn't be here right now. What? Caillou hissed. You see, the headmaster felt my Yauki from the human world and realized that I would be an excellent troubleshooter. Naruto explained, keeping as close to the truth as he could, and my main order was to deal with anyone that could cause any problems later down the road. So that must mean that he wanted me to handle you and your squad of goons. I roared as he created a fireball and tried to incinerate Naruto with it, who only stepped around the attack and kept going. I mean, if this is the best that you guys have, then I'm more surprised that you guys haven't been taken down yet. Naruto laughed as he dodged another fireball. I mean, come on, I got more of a fight out a half-dead human than most of these punks you have working for you. Die. Kai roared as he created an even larger fireball and threw it at the blonde, who had enough sense to decide that it was now a good chance to stop egging on the boss and start taking him serious. Rolling towards the fire-throwing maniac, he dodged a direct hit and then got hit by the concussion, sending him flying. You filthy bastard. I'll burn you to death. Kai roared. Oh, did I touch a nerve? Naruto asked as he stood up. You're just upset that I showed you up at every turn. And you know what, the only thing worse than that is the fact that you're a hypocrite. A filthy liar that uses his power to control others. You like to think that you're such a big bad guy, but in the end you're a sniveling weakling. I roared in anger, finally shifting into his true form. He stood on all fours, revealing that he was in fact a Yoko. His four tails flailing as he prepared several fireballs on his tails and sent them flying towards Naruto, who smirked as the shadows lifted up in front of him and intercepted the attacks. See? Can't even beat a human. Naruto chuckled as Caillou growled. You're not a human. No pitiful human can do that. True. But who said I came from this realm of humans? There are many dimensions out there, I just happen to be from one that has humans higher on the food chain than most yokai. Naruto chuckled as he saw Caillou getting even angrier. Then so be it. Caillou screamed as he transformed again, becoming a more humanoid version of his Yoko form. This is the Yoko battle form. I intend to use this to finish you off once and for all. Is that so? Naruto asked while chuckling. I think you are bluffing. Caillou simply sent a gout of fire at Naruto, who only grinned as held up a hand and let the fire hit it and then wrap around him before he dissipated it. Caillou blinked in shock at this as he saw this feat and tried to comprehend what had just happened, how a mere human could have him at such a disadvantage. Shocked? Naruto asked as he walked closer to Caillou. How? Caillou gasped. Naruto only grinned more as he started releasing more and more Yauki, shocking the Yoko that he was in fact beyond an S-class. Soon the red chakra cloak wrapped around him and tails started appearing until he managed to have 4 of them out and emitted nearly twice the Yauki that Caillou was. What are you? Caillou shouted as he tried to punch Naruto with a flame-covered fist. The blonde only smirked as he caught the fist and held it with bone-crushing force. Holding his other hand, he showed the swirling sphere of chakra and grinned at the Yoko, who was trying to pull his arm away and swinging his other fist at Naruto, who had the tails wrap around him to hold him as he rammed the sphere into him, sending him flying back as Naruto released him. I'm a demon that stands above all others. I am a creature that cannot be stopped by mere mortals. I am the Jinchuruki of the Jubi, and I am your end. Naruto replied as he stepped on Caillou's throat and stared down at the defeated Yoko, starting to apply more pressure. Naruto. Moka shouted as she, Kurumu, Yukari and Jin ran in, seeing the red tails flailing, and he glared down at Caillou. My god. Jin whistled as he saw the destruction, and the others stared at him. Naruto, you've won. Let him go. Yukari stated as Naruto turned and looked at them. He stared for a moment before stepping off of Caillou's throat and let the chakra around him disappear. How'd you guys find me? He asked. The earthquake was the giveaway. Jin stated bluntly. Besides, I can find your Yauki anywhere, Naruto koi. Kurumu smiled. Are you okay? Moka asked as Naruto smiled. I'm fine. Got to stretch some muscles that haven't been stretched in a while, and the fox over there got me to see how much of the Jubi's power I can handle. Naruto replied. Only 4 out of 10 tails. Yukari frowned. That's 40% at best. It's better than it was a few months ago. Naruto replied as he started to leave, letting out each of the captives as he did. A few days later, Naruto was selling newspapers with a main article about how the school protection committee had been disbanded and that starting next semester there would be a new protection club starting. This was meant with varying results, but Naruto was certain that this would be for the best, but he was going to watch it and make sure that nothing like the last school protection committee started. Naruto yawned as he finished the last test of the semester, handing it as he walked out of the room and was met with Moka and Yukari already waiting for him. Finally done? Yukari asked. Yeah. Naruto nodded, but Kurumu is still working. That's not too surprising. Moka replied. She does have the most trouble academically of all of us. Nothing wrong with that. Naruto replied as he leaned against the wall. Back home I was the class dunce. Barely made it through the qualification to become a shinobi. Really? Yukari asked, what on earth does it take to pass to become a shinobi? Lot of different things to get to the final exam. Naruto shrugged, we get a lot of the same classes we have here, but for the final exam we have to create 3 clones of ourselves, use a henge no jutsu to change our appearance, and a kawarimi to change places to avoid a hit. If you can't do all 3 then you don't pass. And you barely could. Moka finished. Nope, couldn't make a regular bunshin to save my life. In the end I was tricked by a traitor and learned how to make Baikage bunshin. Naruto explained, was made a genin after that, though I was still considered the dead last. Yukari and Moka both blinked at this. Here was a boy that seemed next to unstoppable to them, and he was telling them that he was the bottom of the barrel for a long time. Before they could muse any more over this, the door opened and Kurumu walked out with a cheer. Finally! She exclaimed, now we have our summer break. Not quite. Naruto chuckled, Nekomane-sensei wants us to meet at the club room after the tests are done. The 4 then spent the rest of the afternoon sitting around the campus and just small talking when they heard the final bell, and they made their way to the club room where Nekomane was waiting for them. Once they were all seated, she began. Now since the summer break is about to start, we are going to be going on a club trip. We are going to the human world. She exclaimed as Yukari paled, and the others all traded looks before she continued, we will be spending a week in the human world, where we will be doing research for a piece that we will be writing once we get back. We will have accommodations at a small hotel. We will be leaving in a week. The week went by quickly and soon Moka and Naruto were waiting for the bus and waiting for Kurumu and Yukari. Naruto was carrying a small backpack with him and had several scrolls on him as well. Moka had a small suitcase with her as well, and the pair were making idle chatter. Let me go. Yukari shouted, causing the pair to look over and see Kurumu dragging the young witch with her. I don't want to go. Oh, hush up. Kurumu snapped as she pulled her up to the bus stop. What's going on? Naruto sighed as he looked at them. Yukari doesn't want to go on the trip. Kurumu sighed. I gathered that much. Naruto deadpanned, I meant why are you dragging her? We all have to go, Nekomane-sensei said so. Kurumu pointed out, which Naruto nodded before looking at Yukari. Why don't you want to go? I hate the human world. They are always so mean to me. Yukari argued. Well, you'll have us with you this time. Naruto smiled, and if anyone makes fun of you, I'll prank them. This got a small chuckle out of most of the girls, but Yukari still didn't seem too thrilled with the idea of going. Before any more arguments could be made, the bus arrived and they were all soon on board, putting their bags on the first few seats. Nekomane soon arrived and told them that Jin would be staying here to do artistiles pertaining to the school while they were away. So you're giving Iro-senpai free rein while we are away and expect work to get done? Naruto asked, earning laughs from the girls. He had better get work done. Nekomane said with a smile that scared Naruto more than anything he had ever encountered. Soon they were on their way and Naruto stared out the window, his mind wandering back to the events of the past few months, and more so back to the home he had left behind. He was jarred from his thoughts when the bus stopped and they soon got off, standing at a large field of wildflowers. Would we stop? Naruto asked. Dropping you off here. The bus driver replied, Nekomane and I are going to get the hotel checked in. Naruto nodded as he gave the bus driver a look that said he knew what he was really trying. The bus driver only smirked at him as he started driving away. Shrugging, Naruto started walking into the field of flowers and placed a hand on the ground, and smile appeared on his face as he did this. What's got you smiling like that? Moka asked. Pure nature. Naruto replied, when I first arrived in the human world, I was horrified at the destruction that had been caused and how little nature there was left. It's places like this that need to be protected. You can practically feel the natural energy rolling off of this place. Too bad it's going to be destroyed. Moka sighed as she pointed to a construction sign. Naruto frowned as he walked over and read it before shaking his head at what he read. I consider myself human and I am insulted by this. Naruto replied as he walked away. I can guess what my article is going to be about. Before Moka could reply, they saw Yukari run off and Kurumu looked really angry. Sighing, Naruto walked over and looked at Kurumu with enough of a disapproving look to tell her that he wanted an explanation. We got into an argument, I said some really bad things and she ran off. Kurumu sighed, looking ashamed. I just don't get why she's having such a fit about this trip. We all have skeletons in our closets, Kurumu. Some are worse than others. Let's go find her. Naruto replied as they started walking through the field, shouting Yukari's name as they walked. Kurumu soon took to the air and split off from them, and Naruto and Moka soon followed after, with the blonde having a bad feeling about the place now as he walked. It didn't take long before his suspicions were confirmed and he saw Kurumu and Yukari fighting off some strange carnivorous plant beast. Move. Naruto shouted as he made a sphere of fire in his hand and sent it smashing into the back of the thing's head, causing it to roar in pain. Kurumu quickly grabbed Yukari, who sent more of her tarot cards, slashing through the thing to buy Naruto time to move in closer. The blonde leapt on top of the thing and quickly drew a kunai and stabbed it into the thing's head. So your outside is a little flame retardant. Let's see about your insides. Naruto growled as he sent the fire down the kunai and into the thing, causing it to roar in pain as it tried to dislodge the blonde, but he stayed on it until it collapsed with a smell of burning weeds hitting their noses. What on earth was that? Moka asked as she looked at the thing. No clue. Yukari replied, I just saw it about to eat some mom and her little girl, and I just acted. Naruto only smiled as he patted her head and he took his kunai and soon started cutting open the monster. After a few moments he stepped away, shaking some goop off his hands. Well, it's definitely organic and bred to devour things. Weird thing is that it is pure plant, no real means for it to digest or to even live by animal or human standards. Naruto explained as he cleaned off the kunai on the grass, only guess I can make is that this thing was created. Meaning someone doesn't like trespassers here at the witch's knoll. A sense of foreboding entered all of them as they made their way back to the road where they saw the woman that Yukari had saved. Oh, thank goodness you're alright. She exclaimed as she hugged Yukari, you saved us. It was nothing, Yukari mumbled sheepishly. Are you stuck out here? She asked looking at them. Yeah. Our ride ditched us. Naruto nodded. Then let me give you a ride into town. It's the least I can do. She smiled as she ushered them all into the car. It wasn't long before they arrived in town and soon were making their way to the hotel that they were staying at, finding that the rooms had already been checked out and the keys left for them. Once they were settled, with the girls each trying to bunk with Naruto, who took the smallest room for himself until he finally told them that they were staying separated by gender. Don't want you all to get any ideas. Naruto said as he mainly looked at Yukari and Kurumu, who blushed at this. Once they were settled, Naruto suggested that they take a look around town and soon they were out walking the streets, making their way through the busy city. It's so noisy. Kurumu complained. Doesn't smell that good either. Yukari nodded. Could be worse. Naruto replied as they walked across the street. How so? Moka asked. Could be a war zone. Naruto replied as they all blinked and remembered that he had fought in a war and had seen lots of terrible things that they probably never would. After a few hours of walking they finally went back to the hotel with Naruto stopping on the way and buying bentos for all of them. Soon they were seated on the roof eating when Naruto turned to look behind them as he had heard the sound of light footsteps. Walking towards them was a young woman, a few years older than them, and from the look on her face she meant business. May we help you? Naruto asked as he met her gaze calmly. The woman seemed a little surprised that the blonde could match the heated gaze she gave him, but in the end she focused on Yukari. Yes. My mistress has requested that you young witch join us. She replied as Yukari blinked. Me? Yes. We witches should stick together, especially to defend the knoll that those humans want to destroy. She explained. Naruto simply shrugged as he looked at Yukari. Your call. He replied as he continued eating, shocking Kurumu and Moka at such a calm reaction to this possibly hostile presence. Naruto koi? Kurumu asked as she saw the blonde look at her and only smirk as Yukari finally spoke. Were you the ones that made that plant thing? She asked. Yes. To destroy the humans that would take our home. She replied with a grin. No. That thing almost hurt an innocent child. I won't work with people that would do such a thing to children. Yukari shook her head as the other witch frowned at her before opening her spellbook. Very well then, little traitor. I will not allow another witch to live that may turn against us. She spat as she spoke a spell and ravens flew at them. Before anyone could blink, the shadows lifted off the ground, becoming sharp-pointed spears that struck down all of the ravens that got close. Standing, Naruto turned to face the woman and only smiled as he walked away from his friends and faced her. And I won't allow anyone to hurt my friends. Turn back now and this ends right here. Naruto stated calmly, I have no problem with you or you wanting to defend your home. But take this fight any further and I will make sure that you and your mistress regret it. You think you can threaten me? She spat as she spoke another spell and sent a barrage of razor-sharp feathers at him. Naruto only grinned as his shadow lifted off the ground and swatted away all of the feathers. I don't think to threaten you. Only inform you what will happen. Naruto replied. This was the breaking point for the witch as she spoke another spell and grew 6 wings on her back and struck. Naruto leaned back and dodged the slash, but could feel the nature energy coming off of it and knew that if was hit by that it would be fatal. Taking a fighting stance, he made a clone of himself and had it leap back and sit on top of the doorway to the roof. All of the women standing there were confused by this as they looked back at Naruto and saw that his eyes had changed to look like a toad's. Moving in, he dodged the wings that tried to hit him as he finally got close enough to strike. Frog punch. Naruto stated as he struck, hitting the witch with enough force to send her skidding back and cough up blood. What on earth are you? She shouted. A sage. Naruto replied as he walked towards Harem Senin. Before the witch could react, Naruto was in front of her again, this time with a Rasengan ready that smashed into her side, sending her flying into the wall where she soon was unconscious. Shaking his head, he disbreathed the clone and returned to his normal form as he walked towards the fallen witch. "What was that?" the girls exclaimed as they saw him pick up the fallen foe. "Senjutsu," Naruto replied as he walked towards the door. "Come on, let's take care of her." "You're going to help her?" Kurumu exclaimed. "Yes," Naruto replied as if it was the simplest thing in the world. Soon they had the witch laying in Moka and Kurumu's room where they stayed to keep an eye on her. Several hours later she awoke to the sound of laughter. "And he just says beneath this mask is another mask. Pretty cool, huh?" Naruto laughed as the girls all laughed at this. Turning, they saw that the witch had sat up and was staring at them in utter confusion. "You're awake?" Moka smiled. "Where am I?" she asked. "One of our hotel rooms." Naruto replied as he stood up and got her a bottle of water. "Here, you need to drink." She glared at him a moment before realizing that he was right and took the bottle, finding that it hadn't been tampered with. Once she was finished, she stared at them and saw that most of the girls were doing different things while Naruto was sitting in a chair not far away, sharpening a kunai. "Why did you help me?" she asked. "It was the right thing to do." Naruto replied, "I didn't do it for any other reason than that, so relax. What is your name anyway?" "Ruby." "Ruby-san." Naruto nodded as he stood up, putting the kunai away. "Feel free to rest here for a while." "You must have some other motive for helping me." Ruby finally snapped. "Nope." Naruto chuckled. "I did it because it was the right thing to do, nothing more." "You're not a bad person, Ruby-san. You just want to defend your home, and there is nothing wrong with that. I may not agree with the means that you are using, and if I think for 1 second that they might hurt innocent people, I will stop you, but that doesn't mean what you are doing is a bad thing." But that he walked out and made his way away from the room while thinking more about this new development. There was another witch at the knoll, and she was likely stronger than Ruby. Well, he may be stronger than Ruby, he wasn't sure how much stronger in comparison this witch was to Ruby. The knoll was what they were trying to protect, but it seemed like there was more going on than met the eye. "We must be able to see underneath the underneath." Kakashi had told him when he had been a genin, and now he was certain that it was true for this instance. After wandering some more, he finally went back to the room to find that most of the girls had gone to bed already and that Ruby was the only one still awake. "You aren't going to sleep?" Ruby asked. "Nope. My mind is still too active to do that." Naruto replied with a shrug as he took a seat. "Mind if I ask you something?" "I might," Ruby replied. "Why do you hate humans so much?" Naruto asked. "They took my parents from me," Ruby hissed. There was a moment of silence before she continued and explained how a drunk driver had killed her parents, but that even before that they had been shunned and ridiculed for their beliefs. After she finished explaining that, Naruto only nodded his understanding. "Losing your parents always hurts." Naruto nodded. "I grew up an orphan." "You had no one?" she asked. "Nope. Took a long time to find who my parents were, but even before then I was shunned by my home, ignored and verbally abused quite often. See, everyone in my home knew I was a yokai, and that's why they hated me." Naruto explained, watching Ruby's eyes widen at this. "What happened?" she asked finally. "It took a long time, but I earned their respect. I fought for them and protected them when they needed it the most. I earned the respect of the whole village, but in the end it turned to fear when I grew even stronger. The yokai I constantly emit scares off almost every living being, even most weaker yokai. Where they once respected me, they now feared me instead. Made all that hard work I did feel kind of taste like ashes in my mouth." Naruto shrugged. Ruby only stared at him before speaking. "Were your parents yokai?" she asked. "Only my mom. My dad was pure human, but a great guy that loved my mom for who she was." Naruto smiled. "Got to meet them once, thanks to a seal that had a portion of their souls locked in it." "That must have been nice," Ruby muttered. "Kind of heartbreaking too." Naruto nodded. "It was the first and last time I was going to get to see them, and while I cherish those memories, there are times that it really hurts that they had to die." "How did they?" "Demon attack." Naruto sighed. "Do you know about the Biju?" "They are a myth." Ruby replied instantly. "One has not been seen in centuries. They were still around until just recently." Naruto replied. "Difficult to find and even harder to control, but they were still living and causing destruction. On the day I was born, the Kyuubi no Kitsune attacked my village, controlled by someone who had the knowledge to summon it. Killed a lot of people and my parents died stopping it." Ruby only blinked at this before letting a silence fall over them. It took some time before she spoke again. "You have lived a hard life," she noted. "Got to grow up fast on the streets." Naruto nodded. "But I don't regret a day of it. My parents died as heroes, and I have done the best that I can with the hand I was dealt. Fought to make my life better and earn the respect of my peers, and in the end I may have had a hard life, but it was mine." Ruby could only nod at his statement before she laid back down and rested until she heard even breathing coming from Naruto and found him asleep in the chair. She waited for 10 minutes to make sure that he was really asleep before standing up and moving towards the door, slightly conflicted about what the blonde had told her. He had lived a life alongside humans that had been cruel by most standards, and yet he still defended them. His life had been harder than hers, and yet he still refused to lash out at his once tormentors. She felt doubt swirl around inside of her for the first time and soon was heading to talk to her mistress about what they planned. As she left, Naruto opened an eye and smirked before standing up and following her, intent on ending this possible threat if Ruby couldn't convince her. So this part ends here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, so quickly like this video for second part of this series. And comment down below your thoughts about this series. And now it's time for me to go, bye.